Hi, I'm Cameron Surrett. A little bit different this week in Craig's program. He's asked me to do an interview with him. Why would he do that? There's a monstrous 2024 ahead for this young man. So we're going to have a chat, find out about him, find out about where he's going and why I'm here talking to him today. Craig, hi.
Hi Cam, how you going, mate? It's
Good,
good to
my man.
see you.
Good.
Yeah.
So, to begin with, how long have you been a hobbit?
A hobbit?
Yes.
Down here in the Shire?
Yes.
I confess it's been my whole life. Well,
Really?
Since 5.
Yes, since 5.
So we lived in Padstow for the first 5 years of my life. And then we moved from Padstow to Bangor, which is just a suburb away.
Okay.
Grew up, born and bred there. I only moved away with gigs a little bit, and also when I went to the police, when I studied at the police. And then, come back and haven't left. I got a house 2 streets away from where I grew up. My mum's living 4 doors down. And it is, I'm pretty much the quintessential Sutherland Shire hobbit.
Cool. Yeah. Way to go. Musical family?
No, not to be honest. 4 generations back, there was a classical pianist who was lucky enough to play at the Sydney Opera House. It was my great-great-great-grandmother. But that's the only lineage to music that we could sort of trek back in my DNA.
Okay. So what attracted you?
The story which I tell, and it's very true, and I still can see it to this day. When I was about 6, we went to Dreamworld on the Gold Coast for a family holiday. And I remember walking in, Mum said you walked in and you just diverted and walked away. And she said, where's he going? And you walked over and I walked straight in front of the barbershop quartet. So it was 4 barbershop quartets in those days, older gentlemen singing 4-part harmonies. And I remember just looking up and going, wow, that is cool. Like, how are they doing that? And Mum said, yeah, she literally couldn't drag me away from those singers. And I guess that's where the first little love affair of singers in particular started from that age.
Yeah. I remember that quartet actually because I sang at a wedding in Dreamworld.
Right, this would have been,
years ago.
so I was born in 79, that would have been very early 80s.
Yeah.
And they were there for years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was early 80s that I was singing at Dreamworld.
Well, it's the same one. Yeah, well, you know exactly. And they were amazing. They were
quite incredible.
Well, I was 6, so they're good. They were good, were
they? So you began there. So where did you what got you into learning guitar, starting to sing yourself?
Yeah. So I was always on stage when I was in primary school. So I remember my teacher at the time, the music teacher, she identified me when they were singing the anthem one day in primary school, which was at Bangor Primary School. And she said, Craig, you can sing. I said, oh, really? She said, I like singing. And she said, would you like to be Chim Chimney in Mary Poppins? The Chim Chimney, what was his name? I can't think of the name of it. Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke, yes.
Dick Van Dyke, yes. She said, would you like to be Dick Van Dyke in the version of Mary Poppins at Bangor Primary School? I said, definitely. So I did, got the soot on my face and messed up my hair and I sang Chim Chimney. And that from that moment on, I was always just on and off stage in primary school. But it wasn't until I got to high school, I was quite a good soccer player through my whole younger life. And I made the reps and I had a bit of a bad incident with a coach who basically destroyed my dreams of playing at a good level of soccer. And that was at age 13 in year 7 at Menai High. And for some, it's kind of strange because I remember that being that and I thought, well, you know what? My soccer dreams are over, or I thought they were at the time, but I really love drums and I was really starting to get into surfing culture and surf music and the drum kit. I used to remember going in there watching all the year 10 and year 11 drummers and going, wow, if I could do that one day, that'd be really cool. So I started playing a little bit of drums and they were teaching me just some basic, simple rock beats. And then lo and behold, like literally 6 months later, I was in my first band. And we had a drummer, a guitarist, a piano player, my good mate Jason Wong, who was living directly opposite me. And we won a band comp in Bankstown Shopping Centre with a female singer singing rock set covers.
Classic. What was the band called?
Undecided. It was called Undecided. And I remember
classic.
I did the logo, the writing, and I did question mark for the logo. And we had that on our shirts, just a question mark.
Classic.
So right from the beginning, I know that was my starting with music, but it wasn't until, it was a late start. It wasn't until 15, probably 14, 15. I was in a hard rock band, a heavy rock band, original band called Grounded, and we toured for quite a bit between sort of 16 to 18. And then I started fumbling across acoustic guitar. I was terrible at it. And I'm never going to get this. It's so hard, it's clunky, and I can't get the
Drums are harder.
Well, I found drums, I don't know.
Yeah.
I found guitar very difficult when I first started. I guess determined, and I started writing songs once I could hold a D chord, I started writing songs. So my first song I wrote at 16, about a girl, obviously, and I still play it to this day. I mean, I've never showed you that song actually, but if I do acoustic gigs, I always play it and say, this is the song I wrote when I was 16.
Okay.
I usually have a joke. It was a couple of years ago, but and it's called Single Life. And some of the locals around Cronulla even still know it. And they, can you play Single Life, especially if they've gone through a bad breakup or something.
So what happened to your musical ambitions that led you going into the police force? What happened there?
Yeah, good, yeah. Well, I was a printer. I left school at 16 in year 10, and I got a printing apprenticeship. So I did a 4-year apprenticeship at Condell Park in a printing factory, and I hated every day of it. Every day. And my mum and dad said, you've got to do your trade, just do your trade. Like they did.
As parents do.
Yeah, they do. So I said, okay, that's all right, I'll do my trade. And I got to my trade, and I said, remember speaking to the boss, I said, look, next year I'm a tradesman, and I must have known the writing was on the wall. I said, look, I don't think I'm going to stay in the printing industry. I think I've applied for the police and I've got in. And she goes, Craig, I think that's a very good idea.
So you were obviously really good at the job.
Oh, yes. So I don't think I had a job Monday, 2020. So I finally left the printing industry, went into the police, and I really liked it in the first instance, the police. I had security. I had an exciting job. The training was so much fun. It was really exciting. I was a 20-year-old man, or still a boy really when you're 20. And I remember just going down the academy, and then in the moment when you graduate and you're tested and you put your uniform on, you feel like Superman. You've got your police, New South Wales police uniform on, and you've done your firearm training, you've done your one-to-one combat, unarmed combat, and you've done a high risk, like pulling over a car in a high risk situation. It's a break and enter, or what else did we do? We did a robbery one day, and these are all skits when you're doing the training. How do you respond and how do you react? And then I spent four and a half years in the police. And the first 2 years, I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, I said, look, I'll never leave this job. You don't work that hard in this job. And it's like, because you have days of really busy and then days of just hardly anything.
Yeah.
And I thought, you don't work hard, you get good super, you get great conditions. We do like a user pay. We go to the football state of origin, walk around, everyone would talk to you, and I think I'm getting paid $80 an hour to do this. This is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until a few serious incidents, and as it started to unravel, I started to see, well, hang on, this job is a lot more difficult emotionally than what I thought. And the other side of that, believe it or not, because I had such a great upbringing in the Shire, very middle class, affluent area. There's money in this area. No one's loaded, but it's not like we're in poverty. But I remember saying as a songwriter, I need to see how the other half live, because I need to get something with a bit more substance, because I feel like I have a very vanilla exposure to the world and what the world's about. So I actually joined as well. A big part was to learn to improve my storytelling.
Right, okay.
Funnily enough, it sounds strange. Why would you choose the coppers to do that? It was because I wanted to see, like I'm the kid, if the park bench has a sign on it that says "wet paint, do not touch," I'm the kid who goes up and goes, "It's wet. It's wet." And that was just me, curious Woody, I guess.
Okay, all right. So police force came to an end.
Yep.
So you decided to do what?
So, yeah, I remember speaking to my old sergeant, Jim Diagonin. I was working in a PCYC at Rockdale, which I really loved. It was a great job where you'd be in the community raising money for underprivileged kids and kids from beaten homes and things like that. All different exposures. Some were sexual related, some were domestic violence, some were they were slow learners or whatnot. But I said to him, because I was doing a lot of gigs, I was working 4 or 5 days at the police during the week. It was a day gig, that one, so it was just a normal daytime one. And sort of Thursday to Sunday, I was smashing it. I was doing like sometimes 2 gigs a day. Back in the days when you could do like 2 or 3 gigs, you know.
When the work was there.
When the work was there.
Yeah.
And I remember going, I'm making just as much money and I'm having so much more fun, like singing. And I was a single man. It was the drinking, it was the partying, it was the girls, it was the attraction to the flight, the moth to the flame, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, if I don't give this music a red hot go and do it full time now, I was 25, I said, I'll never do it. And I remember talking to Jimmy, he goes, you serious, you're going to do music? I said, he goes, mate, give it a red hot go. And yeah, so it's 17 years later, probably 18 years later, I'm still a fully functioning and I don't know about fully functioning, but I'm definitely making money as a musician and as an artist.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And teacher as well.
And at this point in time, you're basically a crossover artist because you're country, but you've got that pop rock edge to what you do.
Yeah.
And at this time, we can talk a little more about it later, but you're developing your own sound.
That's right.
And being Craig Woodward, the individual, as opposed to trying to be like everybody else and copy what the market looks for at this stage.
And that's what I totally agree with that as well. And I think that's what I've got a very clear vision of my sound, and it's just through evolution. And it takes those influences from those rock days and being a frontman in a rock band, and then it takes the influences from when I first heard, you know, a Brad Paisley record, or you know, early days of listening to music, John Denver. You know, those folky things come through in my songwriting. I think the best thing you can give anyone advice when they're learning music or they want to be around music, from a young age, listen to a broad selection of music all the time. Yeah. Because it just manifests itself when you start to write. And you don't even know where that chord come from. It come from that song listening to, or you lean towards something and you go, oh, that's because I loved it in that song or whatnot. So I think I am, and I've always wanted to be an Australian artist. I have dreams to go overseas and that, but on our terms and my terms, you know. When the time comes, I think it'll be more an invitation than a chase. Yeah. So I think I've got to very much establish myself as an Australian artist. And my band's here, my family's here, my wife and my kids are here, manager's here. But I like to be in Australia as well. I think as it grows and it gets bigger, the country and more people, I think, as we were saying the other day, fastest growing genre in Australia by far the last 2 years, country.
Exactly.
And all of those different types. I mean, who would have thought Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen and that style of music would be so popular? 5 years ago, they were struggling.
And a lot of people don't even realise it's country.
That's right. So that's why I'm one of those artists that is not trying to take it away from the tradition, but more just run my own race as well. And I think you nailed it on the head. If I copied everyone, and we all know I do the Keith Urban show, if I did everything like him, they just say, "Oh, mate, you got to find your own sound and your own identity and fingerprint is there. You just got to let it in."
Exactly, it's the only way to succeed. A good friend of ours, Jay Sini, who a Golden Guitar winner and video producer, performer in his own right, once said to me that if you're going to make money in this industry and develop a situation where you don't have to go and have a day job, he said, you've got to go and develop a whole stack of different ways of making an income. And he developed 5 different sources to be able to do that. So he was a full-time musician and videographer, basically, and doing that. You have taken the Menai Music School.
That's right, where we are here. So this is the performance space in Menai Music. We only opened it about 6 months ago, this one, but the business on the other side of these walls is 7 studios where we run, don't know the numbers of how many lessons, but we've got close to 300 students here now on a weekly basis that I build up from 30 students when a business previously to this closed. And they had to get to 300. I remember it. That's a funny number because they had to get to 300 students to stay alive, and they had about 280, and it broke them, like, because they had so much more money invested because they weren't musicians, but they were business people, and they did a great job. But I felt sorry for them when that broke, and then I just had 30 students, and my sister said to me, Craig, it's time to start your own business. I said, she goes, I was the same. I was really scared to do it. She says, but just give it a go. And then I found, I didn't find it like it was that. It's never been something where I felt overwhelmed with. I just have a philosophy. You just got to work harder than the next person.
Yeah.
So I've done like long hours. Like sometimes you'll come past the family member or families members of students. Woody, Craig, it was 2 a.m. and the lights are still on. I said, that was me. Might have been writing a song, but I'm doing something.
You're doing something.
I'm doing something,
Yeah.
And this is my happy place. Like it really is. I love coming to work, and I work around some great staff. They're all in their 30s or below, so they're all young, very smart and educated musicians. And we've built culture in the business, which I've sort of started a culture, but now I've got other really strong team members that have bought into that culture, and they see a future for them in the business. And even Leo said to me the other day, one of my heads of this business in Menai Music, said to me, mate, it's bigger than Craig Woodward now, this business. He says, Menai Music is its own thing, and we need to honour that. I said, that's a really wonderful thing to achieve and to know that. So it's given me the opportunity, the time and the money to obviously pay off a mortgage at home and sustain a family, but then also give us the freedom to do things like this, or start to really... I work Monday to Thursday now in teaching, which I used to work 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So now I can get to my weekends, and as we get busier next year, I can honour that time to my own music craft. So it's funny you say all that because it was so many years ago I started this journey. It's only really now I'm starting to see, okay, there's a clear vision and starting to get a bit of momentum. So if you're out there thinking that it'll happen in a year when you leave your job, I'm telling you now it won't happen in a year. Or it might, but you need a lot of money behind you for that to happen.
No, exactly what you're saying. I've been doing what I'm doing now for the past 10 years, and next year looks like being the biggest year I've had.
There you go.
So, it takes time. But it's that security that it gives you as well.
Get your boots on. In a world driven by visuals, every frame tells a story. Every moment captures emotion. At Speedy Tech Media, we breathe life into your vision. Our dedicated team of experts craft unforgettable experiences. We don't just shoot videos, we create memories that last a lifetime. Join us in making your dreams a reality. Elevate your brand with Speedy Tech Media. Contact us today. Let's tell your story together.